Welcome to the Cricket Badger IPL Daily Podcast 2021. The Indian Premier League 14th edition. It's great to have you with us. From the first match all the way to the final. Chennai Super Kings, Delhi Capitals, Kolkata Knight Riders, Mumbai Indians, Punjab Kings, Rajasthan Royals, Royal Challengers Bangalore, Sunrisers Hyderabad. May the best team win. Brought to you in association with Who Knows Wins. Put your money where your mates are, and play along with the Cricket Badger.
Hello everybody, welcome along. Here's another edition of the IPL 2021 Daily Podcast. And blimey, that was quite an exciting game, wasn't it? Punjab Kings do not know how to do things the easy way. That was a game of drop catches, of nearly catches, of plenty of nearlies, to be honest, as we went through that one. But it's a very important victory for Punjab. It keeps them well and truly in the hunt, takes them into the gaggle on 10 points. And it certainly means that regardless of what happens, the last two rounds of matches in this tournament are going to be rather exciting. I'm joined today by Harry, by Neil and by Anand to talk through today's match and everything else besides. And Anand, good to see you again. That was a very exciting match. You always felt that Punjab Kings were going to just fall flat on their faces. They always seem to, but they actually managed to get across the line this time.
I think Punjab Kings are made for entertainment. I think this whole season, as well as previous seasons, they keep, giving us these twists and turns. And you saw that today, right? I mean, there were so many times when you thought, well, okay, this is not going to go their way. So, but I really give them credit because there's a couple of folks who I think have changed things around there. I think Bishnoi needs to get a ton of credit as what he's done so far. I think if you look at previous seasons, the last season that he played compared to this season, there's certainly improvement. This kid is coming on in leaps and bounds, and people are unable to pick him. And I think the second person, again, not a star, but Arshdeep. I think just, 3 wickets, 3 very important wickets. To me, I think they took the game away from KKR. So
he's becoming a star. He's becoming a star, Anand.
I know we always talk about the KL Rahuls, and we want to talk about the Chris Gales, the Purans, and all that. But here we go. Arshdeep is really doing very well. So I think they did excellently well, and they actually pulled KKR back towards the end of the when KKR were 90 for 2, 11th over.
Yeah, I mean KKR they finished with 165 for 7. I was thinking I always work on two runs per ball over the last 3 overs. Because that's attainable. That would have taken them all up to about 175, 176. As it turned out, that would have been enough. Harry, it is fantastic to have you back on the podcast. I know we had bad internet connection last time you were with us, but yeah. I was hearing you loud and clear before we pressed go live. But how did you see that match today?
I mean, as I told you earlier, James, I just wanted KKR to win because again, I'll put it out here as a CSK fan, I'm afraid of MI coming into the playoffs and thrashing us. So I was like all behind KKR. I'll put it. I don't regret saying that.
And it was a game of, as we said, drop catches, really, wasn't it? Catch chances. We had the Tripathi nearly. Not quite. It would have been an incredible catch if they'd given it. And then the final ball, he let it slip through his fingers. He was that close, wasn't it? But catches win matches.
Yeah. So on one more thing, the first over Morgan drop, and you had again Tripathi. I think he dropped Puran early on in pretty easy catch. So. Any one of the catches taken, because Mayank had close to some 30-40 runs and Puran had, if I'm not wrong, 10-50 runs. So that could have gone a long way. But the Shah Rukh Khan catches were quite difficult, and I can understand, the first catch where, Venkatesh Iyer, that was a very sensational try, and those catches can be excused, but the first early ones, you have to take those are regulation catches. And when your captain drops a catch, he can't go, ask other fielders. So it's kind of difficult for him also.
That Venkatesh Iyer catch, the nearly catch on the boundary, was one of those, wasn't it, where he didn't quite throw it back far enough, and then his momentum couldn't take him back over, and he slipped and fell in a big bundle. It was a shame for him. But how did you see that Tripathi catch, Neil? I know on our WhatsApp group it was basically split down the middle. I think I personally saw it initially. I thought it was out. Then I watched it again, thought it was not out, and I think I flipped about 8 times before thinking probably the third umpire has done the right thing there. There's just too much doubt there to really give it authoritatively and say that was definitely gone.
Personally, I thought it was out. I thought he'd got his fingers underneath the ball before his hand and the ball went down towards the turf. But
this will only work on the video version of this. But I thought he had his fingers underneath it, and then his fingers kind of like went forward like that, and the ball maybe just grazed the soil before. I think that's what the umpire. That's how the umpire gave it not out, because he thought the momentum took the ball back onto the ground before he then brought it back up again.
Yeah, I to be honest, I thought he'd got his fingers underneath it, but I don't have any complaints about it being given not out, because certainly on my iPad, the quality of the pictures wasn't good enough to make a determination one way or the other.
You weren't the third umpire then, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, if that's what they were getting themselves, am I right in thinking that the soft signal was too hard for us to tell, so we're not going to take a choice one way or the other? Because that was quite interesting.
There is no soft signal in the IPL, apparently. That's the rule. They don't give a soft signal. They give all of the authority to the third umpire, which I think is the right thing. Yeah.
I mean, we saw, 6 months ago, was it Yadav and Milan, where the umpire was, 50 yards away and had to give a signal. They can't tell from that distance one way or the other, and it shouldn't be definitive. So I thought that was good, and I thought Bish slapping KP down when he said, "Yeah, fielder always knows," was that was the highlight of the game for me, to be honest.
I think that's the champagne moment of the tournament, to be honest.
Oh yeah, but that would have been an absolute stunner. No fault to him there. His drop of Poran earlier on, the Morgan drop, the drop for the 6 to win it, and the DK, and I'm not sure, was it Rana where KP?
That was bizarre, wasn't it? Because DK left that ball for the fielder coming in, and the fielder had left that for him, and they basically just fell in a heap. And one of them should have definitely taken it. And I agree with you. We were talking before we press go live. That should have been the fielder's catch because he was running towards it.
Yeah, and it was like the Dhoni Bravo one.
Sorry, Harry, you saying something?
Yeah, it was actually Varun Chakravarti. So Dinesh Karthik and Varun Chakravarti communicate actually very well, and I don't know how they missed that. They're actually pretty good communicators. They both speak Tamil. They have played alongside each other. So
there wasn't really a long time to have a massive conversation, though, Harry, was there?
Yeah, but these some cues when he speaks with him like very well when he bowls. So it's just that I didn't expect these two players to do that. If anyone had done that, I could have probably accepted. But these two, it's quite very difficult to accept.
Like with the Dhoni Bravo one, generally you always say the guy who's got the gloves, he should go for it. But surely my view is someone who's facing the ball rather than running backwards is always going to be in a best position, gloves or no gloves. And on both occasions here, I think that fielder would have been able to take it simply, but in the end gave way to the authority of the wicketkeeper and captain stroke former captain for DK, who had a much harder.
I actually thought DK had a poor match behind the sticks. He fumbled a few, and he looked. You can tell when. I only can relate it to my own club career, but when you're having a poor game and you're looking around the field for somebody to tell you it's all right, and nobody really was with DK because they knew that he was having a bit of a howler. He wasn't having a good game. Straw poll time. Let's have a quick zip around the group. Tripathi's catch, out or not out? Anand?
Not out.
Neil?
Out.
Harry?
Not out.
James? Not out. So we're going with the third umpire. And good job that Neil on his iPad with the fuzzy pictures wasn't actually in charge today, because it could have been an entirely different result, couldn't it? Venkatesh Iyer, Anand? What a little star he is. 26 years old, 27 years old, is he? 67 from 49 today, 9 fours and a 6. He just keeps on doing it. I saw Baz McCullum interviewed about him fairly early in the tournament. And he said he might be one of these players that's a little bit hit and miss. 100 one day, then 3 noughts, and then 100 again. He's not turning out to be that at all. He's a very composed, very assured, very impressive fella.
Definitely is, and I think part of that also helps that he is 26, so he's got a little bit of experience under him. But I think that's the best part of the IPL. You get to see some of these talents come out. We have seen Sakaria come out. We just talked about Arshdeep. There are people who are coming out of nowhere, and you look at them and say, okay, these guys are really talented. So I mean, what he's got 193 odd runs at 142. That's pretty good when you look at who's leading the batting for KKR right now. It's not the big stars. It's Tripathi, it's Rana, and now Iyer. And Shubman Gill has had a hit or miss start so far. So it's incredible what he's done. I think just amazing. What, 5 matches, 4 matches, 5 matches.
He's gonna be in demand as well, Alan, because he can obviously turn his arm over as well. He's a decent fielder. He gives you a little bit of everything, doesn't he?
Definitely does. And I think was there somebody in commentary mentioned, can we get him into the India T20I squad for the World Cup? And I was like, well, let's hold on just a second. He's played 5 matches. Look, he's done amazingly well, and let's see how he goes. It looks very organized. It looks like
there's quite a few in that. There's quite a few in that queue, isn't there?
Well,
yeah. I mean, Venkatesh Iyer, Neil, he's obviously been saved from a career in chartered accountancy as well, hasn't he?
Oh, he's got that going on in the background. He's flying the flag for us all out there. I think actually,
is he going to be the poster boy? He's going to be up on the wall of every chartered accountancy. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, he's flying the flag for us. I think actually, him and Chakravarti. I think Baz was saying when they spoke to him, it gives them a certain grounding so that their mood isn't going to come and go just on the basis of their last performance. Yeah. They're going to have a certain perspective on the IPL and on life, which can only help them because this game is so volatile, especially when it comes to the IPL and your fortunes being tied into it. I mean, we've seen friend of the show, Tamal Mills, got a record-breaking contract 1 year, hasn't been picked up since. Good World Cup mega auction coming up. He could get another massive contract again, but those highs and lows, if you don't have that perspective that a life outside cricket provides, that most of these guys get into cricket and stay in it and have a sheltered life from the age of 12, 13.
Oh, Neil, I mean, I've worked in county cricket, and you see the youngsters coming into that, and they're fairly grounded, and clubs try and give them a little bit of a guide about what life's about, but they get the laundry done for them. They get, I know I've spoken to a few professional cricketers that when they retired, they suddenly realised they had to pay the utility bills in their own house and things like that. Things like that are just kind of like looked after. Harry, Arshdeep Singh. Anand's already mentioned him, but he's a real player, isn't he? And I love his attitude as well, because he looks a very humble, simple, fairly sort of shy kind of chap, but he knows how to bowl a cricket ball. I think Harry's frozen. Like, the pictures are moving, but Harry's frozen.
Can you hear me,
anyway?
James?
Oh, I can hear you now. Did you hear my question, Arshdeep Singh?
Yeah. I mean, I know the commentators are all going gaga over him. That's all. Whenever I turn on the commentary across languages, all I hear is commentators all going gaga over him. If I'm not wrong, he was also on the Sri Lanka tour, but didn't play the matches. I'm not sure if that happened. So, I mean, he's going again with the auction coming up. He's one guy teams will be looking to, just like Eagles picking out their prey, they'll be looking to pick him out. And one more fun fact: Varun Chakravarti has acted in a movie, Tamil movie.
He does 3 things. He's an architect as well. Oh, he can't be talented 3 ways. Yeah. That's just not fair.
Yeah. But the thing is that the movie was like the life of a cricketer, and the film was shot in his cricket club, so he got featured as one of the teammates of the hero.
I don't think there ever has been a good cricket movie, has there? So
Lagan is brilliant.
yeah. Have you ever
1983 all the way.
have you ever watched Bodyline? The BBC TV series, which was
Oh no, I didn't see that.
that of its time, that was quite good. Actually, it has to be said.
Fun fact on that, Bodyline was actually presented on Doordarshan in India. So growing up as a kid, I actually did watch Bodyline, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one that BBC produced. So it was, it even made its appearance out in India. It was very popular, I think.
Yeah, no, it was good for what it was. It was good, and yeah, they obviously I think it's had quite a decent cast in it as well at the time. So I think I searched around it. We're going completely off topic here, but searched around on YouTube recently. I actually found it on YouTube, so you can actually watch it on YouTube if you get a spare few minutes, listeners, and catch it with the Bodyline series. It was a BBC drama series, effectively. KL Rahul today, Anand. 67 from 55, hit 4 4s and 2 6s, but it was one of those innings where it was almost like he was trying to get out every over. He got dropped a few times, gave plenty of chances. The one we've spoken about with DK's, he should have taken that. And then he did what KL Rahul does, get out in the final over and leave everybody else all tense.
It is, it's interesting. When we look at talented batsmen, I think KL's right up there with every one of them. And I think KL can be far more destructive than he actually is. I know today was sort of chancy, but I think what really helps KL is Mayank. When Mayank is there with KL can take his time. I think at the end of the 6th over, he was going to run a ball, but Mayank is the enforcer. He's the guy who goes out and really gives them a kickstart that allows KL to take his time and try to stay there in the end. Obviously, it didn't work out again today, and he could have been out of quite a few times. But leading scorer right now. So if that template works, it works. But I think it really depends on Mayank. And I was looking at Mayank.
KL's right up there as one of the. I think he's the MVP in the whole tournament at the moment, which makes Neil frown every time I mentioned that. But they added 70 for the first wicket today. They made sure they didn't add 100 because there's that stat, isn't it? If all their 100 partnerships have led to defeat, so they made sure that Mayank got out a little bit earlier to see them across the line. Yeah, we mentioned earlier, or Anand mentioned earlier, 2 stars of the Punjab Kings side, but there's another new member of the Punjab Kings fraternity, and Terry the Tarantula, who apparently he was sat on the sofa at Claire's house today when she was out doing her work, and he'll have been punching the air with all of his 8 legs, won't he, today? Because Punjab Kings, they've really given themselves a chance, haven't they, Neil? Because this was an absolute cracking 4-pointer of a game, because you'd got if KKR had won today, they'd have put 4 points between them and Punjab Kings, 2 games to go. Punjab wouldn't have really had a chance. That win today for Punjab gives them a real sniff.
Yeah, I mean, they've definitely got the opportunity, and if they manage to win today's game in spite of KL Rahul, if he actually starts playing for the team rather than himself, then there's no end to what they can do in terms of qualifying for the eliminator. I thought it was a poor innings today, where he spent half the balls going at a run rate about 1 ball and over less than what he needed to, and made everyone else make up for it. I
do think that, Neil, there is something in his head though, which isn't just selfishness. He's the captain. He also knows that he is the linchpin, because he sees at the other end they come in and they hit the ball in the air and get out. He knows that there is a lot resting on his shoulders, because if he gets out, it can all fall apart. So I do think there is a little bit of playing for the team and trying to lead them through it.
I don't know, because we've seen KL Rahul be the best T20 player in the world. Just 3 years ago, 2018, KL Rahul, when him and Chris Gale were opening up, is one of the best T20 players I've ever seen in my life. 2020, KL Rahul and onwards has just been a drag on the team's momentum. and other players have to play in a more chancy way to make up for his lack of impetus. There's a reason that whenever there's a 100 partnership between him and Mayank, they lose. It's because they spend up until the 12th or 13th over to get to that 100.
Anand, do you want to come in?
Yeah, there's a couple of things though. I do agree with Neil that KL has taken a step back. He's not as dominating as he can be because this guy is really talented. However, who on that team is right now making the runs? I feel that this is part of the team strategy. Now, I could be wrong. I'm not part of the, we got to reach out to Claire and find out, get the inner gossip from the team. But to me, who's making runs? So Mayank's making runs. After Mayank, the next person, so KL's got 500 odd runs. Mayank is 372 runs. After that, nobody is making runs. So Chris Gale has got about 190, and Chris Gale's gone back to chill out. I get, have some rum and chill out on the beaches, I think. Huda has got 160 runs. Shah Rukh Khan, who obviously hit a couple of sixes today, 129 runs. And Markram now, has come out and he's got a few runs. But there's really nobody in that batting attack who's kind of taken it up. So I wonder whether if they're a little more balanced within the team, can KL go and really play the way he can play?
I think Poran's key to that, Anand, because I think Nicholas Poran is somebody who does come in and hits the ball hard from the off and scores quick runs, 70 off 40 balls or something like that. And if he's doing that, that takes the pressure off KL Rahul. If he's doing that more regularly, then KL Rahul could probably play a little bit more like the Neil knows and loves from 2 or 3 years ago. Let's move on from KL, though, because Shah Rukh Khan, Harry, I'm coming to you, Harry, so get yourself ready because I don't want a 20-second delay. I watched him walk out today, and I was absolutely amazed by the size of his feet. He was stood next to KL Rahul in the middle there, and he's got twice the size feet as KL Rahul. The bloke's a big fella, and he can hit the ball a long way as well, can he?
Definitely, he's 6'4". I've been seeing the TNP for the past 2-3 years, and he has been smacking it all over for TNPL and as well as for the Tamil Nadu state team. And if I'm not wrong, he did play for India in the under-19 level, and he scored a bulk of runs. And at that point of time, he used to even be an all-rounder. He used to bowl off spin and pick up wickets. So he was an absolute superstar. It was predicted that he would become a big player, like 2-3 years back. So I am not surprised, but I think Punjab could use him a little bit better. Today was fine, but even in the last 2-3 matches, I think he would have given something. So I hope in the next cycle he goes to a team where his potential is made full use of.
That's one of the really interesting sideshows of this tournament, Harry, isn't it? The mega auction just around the corner. We're kind of all trying to work out in our own heads who's going to be retained, who they might try and get the right to match for, and who's going to be released into the wild to then find another franchise. It's a really interesting little sort of play within the play as we go through the rest of this tournament, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fact is that we don't even know whether it will be 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, how much overseas and how much Indian. So I think the rules will definitely change. They are like contemplating about it. So I mean, we can just keep, we'll have fun predicting who will be going, and that will be a very fun activity. I think we should do a podcast for that.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the other day we should do a live podcast for the auction, and then I thought it's about 12 hours long over 2 days, isn't it? I'd be asleep halfway through it. Oh, it goes on for hours, isn't it? It really does. And then do you have a little pool of players that nobody's interested in at all, which kind of drags on and on and on. And then you get the occasional highlight where somebody comes in and everybody starts bidding for them, and that kind of grabs the attention later on. But we could probably recap that after the event rather than doing it live all the way through it. And the Mumbai Indians, which is our team, I no longer hide it on this podcast. That result today actually, I think, opens the door a little bit for Mumbai, and they've got a game in hand now. If they win that, they jump above, don't they?
They certainly do. And as a Mumbai boy, and a huge Mumbai Indians fan, I think we still have everything under control, irrespective of what happened with this game. Primarily because they've shown it in the past. Now, there is a remarkable lack of form going on in that middle order, which you wouldn't think keeps on extending through the tournament. So it should be interesting how Mumbai Indians actually respond back. But I got full confidence that they'll be in the thick of things, and it should be a fun next week to see what happens with some of these matches.
Neil, you've almost become a neutral badger on this podcast now, with SRH completely out of the running. How do you see this tournament kind of panning out over the next week or so with the remaining group games? Do you see Mumbai coming through? Do you see KKR maybe have lost a little bit of momentum today? Punjab Kings renewed belief. Rajasthan Royals, if they win their game, they go onto that gaggle on 10 points as well. It's pretty wide open, isn't it, for that fourth spot?
Yeah, I mean, I was backing KKR this time last week. The way that they were playing, Dre Russ was adding something with the bowling especially, but also a little bit with the batting. And Venkatesh Iyer had lengthened their batting lineup quite a lot, and I thought they looked really good. Today, they got the lineup wrong. You shouldn't.
Where was Dre Russ today, by the way? Where was he? Is he injured?
He did something to his knee, didn't he, in the last game, and had to go off.
Every time I start getting excited about him, because I love watching him, because he's just all out muscle and firepower, isn't he? And then he just gets injured, and it's a shame, isn't it, for him?
Those people, when they go to the gym, they only work upper body, don't they? Never with the base. And his knees are made out of balsa wood. They've been an issue for a long time, which is such a shame because he's just absolute box office.
Claire's telling us. I mean, Claire's basically been rabbiting away on the comments all the way through this, as you could probably expect, because her motivational chat yesterday seems to have done the trick. And Terry the Tarantula is very, very happy as well. But she's saying that Dre Russ, it's a knee and hamstring injury, so not just the one area.
Oh, that's not good at all, because he adds so much in both sides, and they definitely missed out on the bowling today because. Look, Venkatesh Iyer is the new boy on the block, but you don't want him and Nitesh Rana to be guaranteed 4 overs between them. If the conditions are right, they can pop in for 1 or 2, give Morgan options. They can't be the 5th bowler like they were today, because they were the obvious people to go after, and there was relief there. You spend 12 million. To paraphrase Tim Wigmore and Freddie Wild from Cricket 2.0, you don't spend £12 million on a lineup and have Venkatesh Iyer or Corey Anderson, as it was in that case, bowling your 20th over.
No, it was bizarre, wasn't it? Harry, the Owen Morgan situation, he's obviously an incredible tactician. He's a motivator. He knows what he wants that team to do, and he's allied with Baz McCullum. They've got similar kind of ideologies in terms of T20 cricket. But where's his next run coming from? He's basically gone through this IPL averaging about 10 with the bat. Can you justify his place in the KKR lineup just purely for leadership?
Okay, James. So here I'll draw parallel to CSK. So I'll do that thing. So what happens in CSK is you have the top 3 batters, and after Dhoni, you have Bravo, Jadeja doing that. Likewise in KKR, if compared to the first half of the IPL, you have the top 3 Indian batters performing, and after him, he probably has Dinesh Karthik, Russell. He had Russell and probably Narain. So once Russell goes off, as Russell was not the superstar, but still he had that kind of cushion, and so he was kind of managing it. But today, it was really exposed, and again, Morgan, I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm even more worried that I don't know, he's just not good as a batsman right now. That's so a new person comes to see him, he's going to ask how is he the captain and star batsman of this franchise. A person who's new to cricket, just explain the rules to him and put in that situation. He's going to ask you how is he even the captain, and that's what he's going to think.
Anansi, can you see a justification for Owen Morgan's place in that side purely on tactics? I mean, the way T20 operates, it's a very short game. You've got McCullum, you've got the other coaches that are very close to the action. The on-field leader is obviously a leader and he's important, but is Morgan's place under threat, do you think?
I think there is certainly a little bit of threat, but then you come back and say, okay, who's going to take over captaincy? And Morgan took over from the one person who probably could be captain, was Karthik. So at this point, who else comes in? Russell's not playing, and I don't know whether Russell wants to take the captaincy role. So who else gets it? So they'll need to be
Give it
sort
to
of creative with
Venkatesh
it.
Iyer. He does everything else.
At this point, why not? But one of the ideas that they could do, and they need to think about this, is Shakib. So Shakib's not nowhere near as good a batsman as Morgan is, because Morgan is really explosive, and we all know what he can do. Shakib's not that explosive, but Shakib's a decent bowler, and I feel that if you're going to use the fifth bowler as Venkatesh Iyer or somebody, maybe you could look at Shakib, make him the captain, and make him play. This is a big
On
punt,
the,
because when you think about it, Shakib's not as good a T20 player as Morgan is. So this certainly is going to involve some strategy.
on those pitches, you could imagine a Shakib Bangladeshi type bowler doing very well, and he's experienced those sort of dirty pitches, which are slow and low with a little bit of turn, even if they're not ragging. That's what Bangladesh serve up, and they've won something like 80% of their home T20s in the last couple of years. They're way ahead of everyone else. Shakib is a very canny operator, and he's got captaincy experience as well. So he's an option I hadn't thought of. But yeah, I agree with Anand that that's definitely an option. That said, on Morgan, you could probably put him with it at the level as a tactician as Braley and Darren Sammy, who have both played in teams as specialist captains, hidden way down the batting order, but their tactical nous has taken them to Ashes in the case of the former, and 2 World Cup T20 titles in the case of Darren Sammy. So there is that option for having someone just in there for their captaincy, and possibly a big swing and 0 for 1 every so often if he's bringing that much in the field.
I'm going to go around as a group 3 times now to finish this podcast off. The first question is, should Owen Morgan remain as KKR captain and player for the rest of this tournament? Anand, yes or no?
Yes.
Neil?
No. Team Ashwin.
Harry?
Yeah, he should remain the captain.
I think he should as well, but he's under pressure as well. It's a slight concern, I think, for English people like myself that the English captain is struggling a tad, because
I think
you need
as English captain even if he doesn't perform. Yeah, I was just saying he's better off not performing as an English captain because he has people around him. So many.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
people. So many good players, but that is not the case in KKR.
I think with you want whatever your team is, you want your captain to be scoring runs or taking wickets or whatever his speciality is, because that rubs off onto his leadership. If you're feeling content and strong within the side, you then probably feel more empowered to actually lead the side too, which I think is where Owen Morgan's maybe coming a little bit unstuck at the moment. Tomorrow's game sees we've got actually double header tomorrow, haven't we? We've got. Well, I said 3 questions. We've got 4 questions. There's another match to go. Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals. Just the team name of the winning side tomorrow. Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals. Anand, I reckon you're going to say Mumbai, aren't you?
Definitely Mumbai.
Neil?
Mumbai, especially if Shaw's not playing.
Harry?
Mumbai.
James? Mumbai, of course it is. And Rajasthan Royals taking on CSK. Big game for Rajasthan Royals tomorrow. Can they... Well, CSK are already through. Will they take the foot off the gas? Will they allow Rajasthan Royals just to sneak through? Anand, who wins?
You got to go by form, CSK.
Neil?
Yeah, Chennai by a long way.
Harry?
I'm reverse jinxing it and saying Rajasthan.
Oh, and James is going CSK because I think CSK are playing the best cricket of the lot at the moment. And the final question, we did this the other day on the podcast, but I don't think any of you guys were on it at that stage. If you're put in charge of a franchise, mega auction comes up, you've got all of the money piled up in front of you, you've got your first bid to make on a player to bring into your franchise. Who do you recruit first, Anand?
Andre Russell, if fit.
Neil?
Rashid Khan.
Harry.
Hardik if fit.
Hardik Pandya if fit. And I'm going to stick with my answer. AB de Villiers, just because I want to take him out for dinner and talk to him all day long and just tell him how much I love him. Anyway, that concludes the proceedings for today's podcast. We will be back to talk about the double headers tomorrow. Exciting day. KKR losing today against the Punjab Kings, but tomorrow sees Mumbai Indians against the Delhi Capitals and Rajasthan Royals against the Chennai Super Kings. And Neil and Harry, a pleasure to talk to you as always this evening on the podcast. And thank you everybody out there for watching, stroke listening, however you take us on your any major podcast platform, whatever it is. Then thank you for your support of the Cricket Badger podcast. We'll see you again tomorrow to talk all things IPL.